Hey there, welcome back to the shop. This week I'm going to show you how I duplicated these old plywood bed rails into these new solid red oak ones. Let's get started.
First I took the mattress rails off the old bed rails and split them off with a chisel because the glue that the people that used to assemble this wasn't very strong at all. Next, I clamped the board down to my bench and ran a hand plane across it a few times just to make sure that my surface was flat and true. With the work on the old bed rail parts done, I could move over to my new piece, which was a piece of red oak about 8 feet long, and I started by jointing one edge of that, and I did it with a hand plane because my jointer is a short bed and it didn't have long enough wings. Next, I took it over to the table saw and ripped it to final width. After that, I took it over to the chop saw and milled it to final length. Next, I could start laying out for all the holes I needed to drill that were identical to the ones in the old rails. I found the exact depth of the old holes using a pair of dial calipers and drilled the counterbores to that appropriate depth with the drill press. Next, I built a jig to keep my drill straight while I drilled the holes horizontally into the end grain. Then I could reattach the old mattress rails using the same screws through the same holes. Next, I sanded the large round over that I put on the top edge to keep your leg from hitting the rail by hand. Then I could sand the flat face of my rails with my palm sander. After a thorough sanding, I wiped my boards down with a tack cloth to remove the dust before applying the shaded stain chosen by the customer. Lastly, my final step for this project was to apply several coats of a semi-gloss spray lacquer.
Alright, well that wraps it up for this week. As you can see during the video, the reason that I did this was because the ends of these are all split out along where these counterbores are for the nuts that hold the bed bolts in. So this is a plywood rail. I know that the stains don't match. This was actually much redder than the actual bedposts themselves, so this will now match the bed. And we got the better counterbores in this one that are in the same spot as the others. So unfortunately, I didn't get to work on my end table this week, and nor will I be able to work on it next week. I have a small child's project for you next week. You make that in a day, probably. But that'll be next week. I think I figured out what I want my weekly short video on Monday, I think is when I'm going to release it. I finally figured out what I want that to be called, so look out for that tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow evening because I'll have to record it when I get home from school and then edit and upload, which will be quick because it'll be one clip. But yeah, look out for that. I hope you enjoyed this, I guess, project. It was more of a duplication kind of thing, but I didn't have any other time to do an actual project this week, so this was your project video. If this is your first time here, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe. I post a new woodworking project every Sunday, and By doing that, you'll get notified when I post a video, and that'll allow you to see me and my channel grow as my skills progress. I'd also like to ask you to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am the most active on Twitter. Instagram is just kind of weird because I have to log in, log out of different accounts for my different uses. So if you want to follow me on one of those two or both, you'll be able to know what's going on in the shop. You get some sneak peeks of the upcoming video. But yeah, this will be all for this week. Next week, like I said, you have a kids project, and you'll have the, I think I'm going to call it a Teen Tiny on Monday. So look out for those two videos, and I will talk to you next week.